Oh yeah, we are nearing the end of the evolution notes, so let's go for it. All right, so if we keep looking at the geologic time and the geologic time scale, we look at plate tectonics and major geologic events. So one of the things that we look at are when we look at this time scale here, we look at the eras, and the eras are the largest periods of time. Well, we have the eons, but the eras are largest periods of time. And what they're really separated by are these catastrophic global events. So these huge events that occur. Um, the Eras, they're broken down into smaller time frames called periods. So here's our eras, and then here's the periods. I'm gonna excuse me. I was gonna sneeze, and I did. Okay, so they're broken down into periods, and the periods are broken down into epochs or epochs, just however you want to say that. I think epochs sounds cool, sounds a little Star Wars-ish. All right, and then the time frames are based on that fossil evidence, those layers, that strata. And so we look at plants and animals that are found in those layers, and then we place them within that time period. Now, we had talked about punctuated, like these events that are catastrophic events. So Pangea, some sort of punctuation. The theory is that some sort of catastrophic or a punctuated equilibrium occurred, and we had this supercontinent that formed. Well, the numbers I'm not so much on, but 250 million years ago. That if we're looking at that uniformitarianism, and then it's separated about 180 million years ago. So nonetheless, the Pangea we would look at as separating between the Paleozoic era and the Mesozoic era. So separating between the two of these. And the global effects is that most of the land is desert, except for along the coast of one ocean. And so you have this whole big supercontinent, and then you have everything's desert because everything's inland. There's not water that's around all of these. It's around the whole big place, but not like around each of the continents like we understand now. How is the life affected? It affects all the life forms because now there's not a water source, and so the ones that are that would be now, if we put everything together at this point, things that normally live on the coastline, they're now basically living in the desert because they're now in the center of the land instead of out on the fringes. And when we look at the concept of Pangea, this is supported through our fossil and geologic evidence. We see things happen on one continent. We see connections between the continents, and we see that the pieces look like they fit together in a puzzle, and we know that the continents are actually moving. So we do definitely have evidence of the possibility of Pangea occurring. There's also this impact theory. So when we look at catastrophic events, we can see these mass extinctions. So the Permian mass extinction, the Cretaceous mass extinction, the extinction rates, how things just dramatically decrease in there. So the impact theory theoretically would have occurred around 65 million years ago in that, if we're looking at that time scale with uniformitarianism. And this impact theory occurs, let me see. Oh, well, there's Pangea. That would have been good to look at. Here was, I think these slides are out of order. So here's where we're currently at. You could see we would have been all together here, and you can see these land masses, one big giant land mass formed around here, and then how they would begin to separate and then continue to. So here, if you had animals and plants and everything that live along the coast, and then these are together, you can see now suddenly it's desert. There's not any coastal no access to the soils. All right, so let's go back to this impact theory. So with the impact theory, it separates the Mesozoic from the Cenozoic. And Walter and Louis Alvarez came up with this theory, and they talked about the global effects, that what happened is the sunlight was absent from most of the earth. And so because of that, the dinosaurs go extinct. Well, I mean, you think about it. No sun, your temperature's going to drop dramatically, wouldn't it? I mean, if you don't have sunlight on most of the earth, the temperature's going to drop. What's going to happen to photosynthesis? Is that occurring? No, you have to have sunlight in order for that reaction to occur. So something ginormous like a dinosaur cannot be supported. I mean, they need a lot of stuff. And so the theory is that after this impact, this asteroid impact, the dinosaurs go extinct. Iridium, which is the element that's found in asteroids, is found at the KT boundary only in soils, in the soil samples. So, and what they believe is that this impact here occurred around the modern day town of, I don't even know how to say that, Chicxulub. I mean, there's no way that's even close, but it's on the Yucatan Peninsula. And so this is where they believe that impact took place. All right, now another major catastrophic event that we look at is called the snowball Earth. And theoretically, this would have occurred, if we're trying to place it somewhere in the timetable, we're talking about 750 million years, and it lasted until 570 million years. So it separates the Precambrian era from the Paleozoic era, and the global effects is that most of the life dies except around those deep sea vents. And the eukaryotic life forms evolve. They come out about 2.7 billion years ago. I don't know. I'm just reading off the notes here, but the concept is that's what's happening here. We have this oxygen catastrophe, or what's called the oxygen revolution, and this is where you have this rapid rise in the atmospheric free oxygen. And so because of that, you have the cyanobacteria forming in the Earth's water bodies, and cyano means blue-green, and so we have these blue-green algae, bacteria that is forming. And once they're blue-green, they can perform photosynthesis. So somehow there would be some means of having an ability for photosynthesis to occur. Now, they also produce this oxygen gas as this waste product. So, photosynthesis, you're giving off oxygen. Oxygen gas is corrosive. It breaks down other molecules. That's why we use it to break down food, and we get energy. So anything that's anaerobic. So we had this mass extinction. The thought is that there was this mass extinction of anaerobic organisms, those that live without oxygen. And so because oxygen was deadly to them. And then that prokaryotic life formed about 3.5 billion years ago. So the concept here with this snowball Earth is that 3.5 billion years ago, the prokaryotes came, and then once the ability of this blue-green bacteria, the photosynthesis concept, then you start getting into eukaryotes. So that is what we call the snowball Earth. And that's all we have for that part. Have a great night.